Okay, sixth grade, here is the rest of your quiz review. Follow along as I do all the problems and write them down, and that way you can turn it in and get full credit tomorrow. We left off on number 10, and it says we're listing the factors, and remember that's where you're going to list all of the numbers that go into the numbers. So looking at 32, and remember you don't get to use your factors list. We start with 1, and remember everything pairs off. So 1's partner is 32. So I'll put that over there, and then 2 goes into 32. And if you're not sure how many times, remember you can always go out to the side and divide it out. And 2 goes into 32 16 times. So that's its partner. 3 doesn't go into it because 3 plus 2 is 5. So since it doesn't go into 5, it doesn't go into 32. We do know 4 goes into it, and you should know 4 times 8 is 32. And then, so we're just going to look in between 4 and 8, 5, 6, and 7, and none of those 3 go into 32, so that's our list. Looking at 50, we start with 1 and 50. And we know 2 goes into it, and you should know 2 times 25 is 50. 3 doesn't go into 50 because it doesn't add up to anything 3 goes into. 4 doesn't go into 50. If you can think about it, 4 times 12 is 48, and the next 4 up would be 52. We all know 5 goes into it. 5 times 10. And then so anything in between 5 would be 6, 7, 8, and 9, and you know that none of those go into 50 if you know your math facts. So that's it on that list. Looking at 70, we have 1 times 70. It's even, so we know 2 goes into it. And again, if you're not sure, come over here and divide it out. It goes into 7 3 times, and into 10 5 times, so it's 2 times 35. 3 won't go into it since 70 doesn't add up to anything 3 goes into. And then 4, if you're not sure, we can go ahead and divide it out again, just to double check. Goes into that one time. And then we have 30, since 4 doesn't go into that evenly. 4 doesn't go into it. We know 5 does because it ends in 0. So again, let's figure out how many times that goes in. It goes there once. So it's 14 times 5. And I'm running out of room, so let's move those over. So the next one, that's 14. 6 doesn't go into it, but 7 does. 7 times 10 would be next. And then 8 and 9 would be in here, but they don't go into 70, so that is your list. 1, 2, 5, 7, 10, 14, 35, and 70. So that's that section. You're just going to be listing out the factors. You get a point for each factor you list. List any wrong ones, and you get those wrong. Leave any off, and you get those wrong. Okay, so for the next one, you're finding the greatest common factor of each pair of numbers. So you look at your two numbers, think about the factors. So if I had 8 and 12, 8 I have 1, 2, 4, and 8 go into 8. 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12 go into 12. And the biggest number on both lists is 4, so their greatest common factor, or GCF, is 4. Looking at 20 and 30, okay, we should be able to see what that is, but let's just go ahead and list out the factors. I have 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, and 20. And on 30, that would be 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6, 10, 15, and 30. So you see the biggest one we have here is the 10. So 10 is the greatest common factor of 20 and 30. Now looking at the last two, I'm going to erase all this so we can see. 16 and 32. So if we write out our lists, we'll see we have 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. 32 goes 1, 2, 3 isn't going to it, but 4 does. 5 doesn't, 6 doesn't, 7 doesn't, 8 does. And then the only other thing is be whatever 2 goes into it. So if you're not sure and you divide it out, you would see that we would have 16. 16 would be on the list. And so that means that since 16 goes into 16 and 16 goes into 32, 16 is your greatest common factor. Sometimes it is one of the numbers like that, so be sure you're checking to see if one number goes into the other. Okay, looking at the next thing, is each fraction close to 0, 1/2, or 1? And remember what you're looking at here is you're looking to see if the top is close to the number or close to the bottom. So on this first one we have 2/5. Is 2 close to half of 5? Well, 2 is half of 4, and that's pretty close to 5, so I would say that 2/5 is close to 1/2. 7/8, if you look at 7 over 8, 7 is half of 14. You can see that 7 is real close to 8. It's only 1 away. That means that it is closest to 1. 9 over 19. 9 is half of 18, which is really close to 19. So 9 over 19 is close to 1/2. These really aren't equals to. They're like close to, which are squiggly equal signs. And then 3 over 32, well, if we look at the bottom, half of 22, or 3 over 22, half of 22 is 11. 3 is nowhere close to that, so that would be close to 0. So that's how you do those. Looking at this next section, reduce each fraction. Remember here you're dividing by the greatest common factor. So when we look at 3 over 9, the first thing that goes into both of those, or the biggest thing that goes into both of those, is a 3. So divide the top and the bottom by 3, and that gives us 1 over 3. On 21, the biggest thing that goes into 10 and 12 is 2. So we divide by 2 and get 5 over 6. On 22, the biggest thing that goes into 9 and 21 would be 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. 21 divided by 3 is 7, so you get 3 7s. Looking at 23, you might not see the greatest common factor, but you might notice that 7 goes into both 14 and 28. So if you divide by 7, you get 14 divided by 7 is 2, and 28 divided by 7 is 4. Now if you look at that answer, you know 2/4 isn't reduced, so we can reduce that again to be 1/8, or 1/2, sorry. Looking at 24, they're both even, so you do know that 2 goes into both of them. Don't know of anything else, so let's just try 2 for now. And 36 divided by 2, if you're not sure, you're just going to divide it out. And you get 18, so that would be 18 on top. 50 divided by 2 is one you should know, that's 25. And 18 and 25 don't have anything in common, because 25 only has a 5 as a factor besides 1 and 25, so that one is done. Looking at 16 and 24, the greatest common factor there, think about it, should, you know 4 goes into them, you know 2 goes into them, but so does 8. So we'll divide them both by 8. 16 divided by 8 is 2, and 24 divided by 8 is 3. Let's move on to the next section. Changing each to an improper fraction. This is where you're doing the U-turn, remember? So we go, start at the bottom and move across the top. So we go 8 times 5, and then we add the top. So 8 times 5 is 40, plus 1 is 41. That makes your new top. The bottom is 8, and so that's it. Looking at 6 and 2/7, we do the U-turn here. 7 times 6 is 42, plus 2 more is 44, so that's your new top. Bottom stays the same. On 3 3/4, do the U-turn. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 3 on top is 15, and again the bottom stays the same. So that's it on those. And one more section, no, 2 more sections. Looking at these, we're going to change each number to a mixed number or a whole number. Here, remember, you're dividing bottom into top, so you always do the division box on the bottom, drop the top one down inside the box, and then divide. So 4 goes into 31, 7 times, which is 28. If we subtracted, we would get 3. So 3 is leftover. Remember, your leftover always goes on top of the fraction, so your leftover goes over, and the denominator is always what you started with. However many times it goes in, like the 7, that is your whole number. So 31 over 4 is the same as 7 3/4. Looking at 14 over 3, we're going to divide bottom into top, put that 14 in the box. 3 goes into 14 4 times, which is 12. And then we have 2 left over, so I'm going to put that 2 over my 3, because that's what I started with. So it's 4 2/3. On this last one, 15 over 5, again, bottom into top, 5 goes into 15, 3 whole times. So since you have nothing left over, your answer is just 3. You don't need to write 0 over 5. I'm going to do these last ones in another video because I'm running out of time in this one, so I will come back and do these in just a few minutes, and I will finish it up in a minute. See you guys later. Bye.